Empress Emerita Michiko of Japan was tortured for 41 years by her mother-in-law, Empress Nagako. However, when Empress Nagako was a daughter-in-law herself, she also suffered greatly. It is often said that the dragon slayer eventually becomes the evil dragon. Today, let's talk about the tragic life of Empress Nagako when she was a daughter-in-law. The Japanese imperial family used to practice close-kin marriage, and as a result, many royal family members had some physical issues. Emperor Meiji was born with a leg disability, and out of his 6 sons, 5 died young. The only son who survived was Yoshihito, who later became Emperor Taeishi. Emperor Taeishi was the first emperor of Japan to implement monogamy, but he had poor health from a young age. He contracted meningitis as a child and suffered from various mental disorders, which led to intellectual decline. Emperor Taeishi's eldest son, Hirohito, also had some hereditary conditions, including limited mobility in his right-hand joints and scoliosis. In 1921, Emperor Meiji passed away, and Emperor Taeishi ascended to the throne. His eldest son, Hirohito, was designated as the crown prince. Just 2 days before Emperor Meiji's funeral, Hirohito's teacher, Nogi Meishuk, met with him and gave him 2 books, after which he and his wife committed suicide. This event had a profound impact on Hirohito, and he became increasingly silent and withdrawn. However, as the crown prince, Hirohito bore the responsibility of continuing the imperial bloodline, and his marriage became a topic of great public attention. In 1918, the Japanese imperial family arranged a selection of potential brides for the 17-year-old Hirohito. It is said that his mother, Sadako, had several conditions for choosing a crown princess. She should have noble lineage, be born of a legal wife, have a father with military qualities and stature, and come from a family with connections to the shogunate. Among the candidates who met these criteria, Hirohito chose Nagako, his childhood friend. Nagako's family was a collateral branch of the Japanese imperial family, and this branch had the right to produce heirs to the Japanese throne through adoption. Her father, Prince Kuni Kuniyoshi, was a general in the imperial army, and her mother was the daughter of the 12th Duke of Satsuma, Shimazu Tadayoshi. Her uncle, Prince Naruhiko Higashikuni, was the only member of the imperial family to serve as prime minister. In terms of social standing, Nagako and Hirohito were well matched. However, Hirohito's mother, Empress Sadako, did not particularly like her future daughter-in-law, as she thought Nagako's appearance was rather ordinary. Later, when Empress Sadako learned that Nagako had once cleaned the toilets at school, her opinion of her future daughter-in-law changed. She came to believe that Nagako was a girl with good morals and a simple character. Moreover, Nagako's family was highly distinguished, and Empress Sadako thought that she might be able to assist Hirohito in the future, so she eventually agreed to the marriage. Starting from the age of 14, when Nagako was designated as crown princess, she withdrew from school and spent her days studying royal subjects such as history, French, embroidery, and illustration to prepare for her future role as a member of the imperial family. Unexpectedly, it happened. 3 years after Nagako was designated as crown princess, her younger brother was diagnosed with color blindness, and soon her older brother and mother were also found to have the condition. Although Nagako herself did not inherit color blindness, the Japanese imperial family, concerned that their children might inherit genetic diseases, considered cancelling the marriage between Hirohito and Nagako. At the time, the head of the military, Yamagata Aritomo, pressured Hirohito to replace the crown princess. Upon hearing that her daughter's marriage might be called off, Nagako's father declared that if the imperial family decided to cancel the engagement, he would kill his daughter and then commit suicide with the entire family. Eventually, due to Nagako's father's threats and Hirohito's persuasion, Empress Sadako abandoned the idea of calling off the marriage. Unfortunately, after Nagako married into the imperial family, her life became increasingly difficult. Although Nagako was undoubtedly Hirohito's chosen wife, she endured much torment from her mother-in-law, Empress Sadako, and the imperial family. Empress Sadako came from the Kuge family, one of the Japanese aristocratic kin groups at the time, with a very distinguished background. However, Sadako herself was born to a concubine and was sent to be raised in the countryside shortly after birth. In terms of family background, Sadako was somewhat inferior to her daughter-in-law, Nagako. What further troubled Empress Sadako was that her husband, Emperor Teish, was frail and suffered from some intellectual issues, often requiring her to take on duties in his place. At the age of 40, Emperor Teish suffered a stroke, which eventually developed into a mental illness. During an episode, he once suddenly ran off the stage during a military exercise and began rummaging through soldiers' bags. Additionally, Emperor Teish once rolled his prepared speech into a cylinder and stared through it at the attendees during the opening session of the Diet, as if using a telescope. Emperor Teish's ridiculous behavior damaged the reputation of the imperial family, and the imperial family felt that they could no longer allow the emperor to continue embarrassing the nation. As a result, Crown Prince Hirohito was made regent. From this point on, Empress Sadako's influence over the imperial family significantly diminished. In contrast, Nagako, upon marrying into the family, became the regent crown princess, which made Sadako feel extremely unsettled. What troubled Sadako even more was that Nagako's family often behaved as though they were royal relatives, which led Sadako to think that they were too casual in their manners and behavior. Later, Nagako's father even requested money from the imperial family to renovate his house, further increasing Empress Sadako's dissatisfaction with her daughter-in-law. Gradually, Empress Sadako, whose mind had already become somewhat twisted, began to unite with other members of the imperial family to subject Nagako to long-term psychological pressure, all under the guise of teaching her proper conduct. According to later recollections of the court lady who served Empress Sadako, because her sister served Nagako, the two of them were too afraid to speak when they met. Before Nagako's father-in-law, Emperor Teish passed away, Hirohito and Nagako went to visit him. The long-suffering daughter-in-law, nervous about facing her harsh mother-in-law, tightly gripped the leather bag in her hands, causing her sweat to dampen the bag, but she had forgotten to bring a handkerchief. Empress Sadako, who had always disliked her daughter-in-law, openly remarked in front of everyone, "You haven't improved at all, your behavior is still so vulgar." This clearly shows the strained relationship between the mother-in-law and the daughter-in-law.